I'm Alan Watt, and we're cutting through the matrix, talking about reality again, and how people all believe the same thing, really, and that's their download from television media. And that is why you have news anchors who are kept on the job way past retirement age, because you grew up with them, and they're sort of father figures, sometimes mother figures, and they'd never lied to you. A great amount of propaganda, image making, image building, has gone into creating these personalities as trustworthy. They even have ads on. Even the CBC government-owned station has ads on telling you that Mr. Mansbridge is the most trusted newscaster in Canada. Well, no one that I know has ever met the guy. We don't even know what he's like. We have his TV persona. That's it. But that's how you create images for television. Everything today is for television imaging, including presidents and prime ministers with their sound bits and their little photo ops, that kind of thing. Nothing is really real. It's all rehearsed, planned by, again, they're experts in that particular field. A world run by experts. And the untidy part of the problem is we're the leftover of the remnant of an old age, and they're bringing in the new age, the planned society, an upgraded Stalinism, an upgraded type of Nazi system, combined together, a new, it's actually a form of feudalistic society that Professor Quigley talks about. He says the CEOs of international corporations, which are on board with government, completely tied together, they're the new overlords of this new system. And they must get a tidy society. They must eliminate the weak, the infirm, those with hereditary diseases, all of the things they've been talking about since the days of Darwin and Thomas Malthus. In fact, Thomas Malthus's name has been resurrected in major media as being a hero that was misunderstood by big foundations like the Optimum Population Trust. They idolize him for his foresight, his early foresight in ways to stem off what he called overpopulation of basically the useless eaters, those who they don't need anymore for a post-industrial society. It's out in the open, and the public haven't got the message yet. They'll get it eventually, and they'll come to the right decisions that have been planned to come to, and they will have no idea that they've never even reasoned through it for themselves. Their opinions are given to them by experts, once again, from the mainstream media. The problem really in this world is not the elite who do this. It's not all their helpers who push it forward. It's not just them by themselves. It's also the bulk of the brainwashed population that is the problem. They're like a symbiosis that work together, masters and slaves. Many at the bottom, and I'm sure everyone out there knows them. You'll meet them in the streets and so on. If you get into anything to do with politics or the future, how things are going to affect them, they don't want to know. See, these are the happy, governed people. It doesn't matter what flag you're flying, what system you're under, they're happy and they're governed. They're domesticated. So that massive group is necessary for the elite to get their way. That's why they choose democracy, because they know that they can always count on that great mass of people to go along with any agenda they push forward. So the problem really is for those who are awake, and they're always in a minority. In all ages. All ages. If you look at ancient times, even in the New Testament of the Christian Bible, Jesus refers to the people who think they're alive because they walk around, but really they're under the dictates and the mind control of the priesthood. That was their complete reality, what came from the priests. And he called them the dead. That term has always been used down through the ages to the present time. Those who have never thought out anything for themselves and are quite happy with that situation are literally the dead. And they're like clones of each other. It doesn't matter what country you go to, they're interchangeable. They'll talk about what's on television, they'll talk about trivia, American Idol, and all the rest of it, but they don't want to talk about anything that's heavy, man. Well, that's heavy. I don't want to hear about that. And of course, all of the New Agers have been carefully trained and indoctrinated from a central capstone, regardless of the names of the organizations have joined, are all trained to look away at the negative and only look at the positive. Same thing, you see, for a different group of people. Now, there's not an animal on this planet, not even an insect, that doesn't have survival instincts. They're called wild. Now, trying to get near a wild animal is difficult because the wild animal senses you're foreign to it, and can also sense you have evil intentions to it. And they vamoose rather quickly away from you. They're always on the watch for other predators. We look at domesticated animals of today, the farm animals. That took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of selective breeding, special breeding, and mating together to get passive animals to be easily managed and not too bright. And that's really the same as the general population. Those who accept the world as it's been handed to them, and they like Plato's cave, are the dead, and they will go along with anything, including their own extinction. That's what happens to domestic creatures. Domestication. There's so much in the news now about, again, all the fake stuff we're getting. The global warming, again, dreamed up by the Club of Rome as a means of bringing the world together under their thumb. Not just them, but the big boys at the top, the big capstone at the top. They bring in a new world order. Had to be a warfare type scenario, so they blamed man. Man was against the planet, therefore they'd have to rule the planet better and rule man better, and mind neutrally, to save the world. That was the idea of it, and that's been implemented everywhere, all through education, through academia, and every little brown-noser going into any kind of bureaucratic position, education, whatever, or politics, knows the agenda. They smell the wind, and they learn their lines very quickly, and once again they're all like clones of each other because they want to get up there, and they will not rock the boat because it means they're out. It's that easy to understand. They're out. Because this new system is just like the Soviet system, where anything can be pushed. George Orwell put all of this in his book 1984, this whole scenario. He goes, read the book itself, because he goes through the mindset of the bureaucrat and how they can adapt to a new meaning per day, often on the same topic, and literally disregard the previous day's holy writ and learn the new day's holy writ as though the previous one never even existed. Today they call it being on board with consensus. Consensus. They talk a language. And it's no different than any other religion, you see, because they use the religious techniques. At one time you had to say all the right things when you were in religious groups. All the right things. They still do in some. Amen from Ammon and praise be and all that kind of stuff. Terminology that's acceptable. That also makes it easy for all the big boys, including Al Gore or anybody else, to walk into these groups, give them a talk, throw in the praise bees and praise gods and all that, and people will accept him as one of themselves, and they'll also accept the propaganda, their download that goes along with it. So every group is targeted, but they've used this now, as I say, for the whole of the bureaucratic, the managerial class, and that's what it is. We have a managerial class across the world that go under the guise of governance. The term governance was used by Karl Marx. Interdependence was used by Karl Marx. Free trade was used by John Dee long before for the British Empire, including most favored nation trading status. Hundreds of years ago. So you think it's a spontaneous thing that's happening day by day, not on your Nelly, as they used to say. Maybe people were more polite. And we're living through it. Generation after generation have been living through it. The major world wars were all part of this too. To bring us to this stage. Why? They know that because the main authors working for the Royal Institute for International Affairs said in their own books they would need world wars to bring the world to its knees. The public they're talking about, the public. So they give up